Hello. Welcome to my living room slash office. I can never seem to get the lighting or the camera right. Because you can't do it before you go live. You got to wait till you're live and then do it. It's finally not 100 million trillion degrees, so I'm going to make an attempt to film this video. Film. You can tell my age by that word. I'm going to attempt to make this video with my windows open. We'll see how many honks we get for confirmation. What's going on, everybody? Yes. So, I officially quit my day job. But those who follow me knew that was coming, right? Yes, I officially quit my day job. So, this portal, as you guys know, always brings in this 8-8 portal an incredible energy of channeling your higher self. It is when Sirius is in alignment with our sun and the three major stars in the Orion's belt. So there we are. Who's here? Is it Kathy? I just talked to Rachel, and I think she's kind of busy. We'll see who it is. So bear with me. Turn down the crime light a little bit. See if we can make this better. There we go. That's a little bit better. Hello and welcome, as always, to the news that didn't make the news. So this energy of our sun being in alignment with Sirius right now and the Orion's belt is bringing in an astronomical amount of energy directly from the galactic center. So that's where everything is stored that awakens within us, within our DNA, within our personal Akashic record, what is also stored within us. I officially quit my day job, as I mentioned. Some of you know that. David. Hello, David. It wasn't Kathy, it was you. This current energy that we're experiencing right now, and these gateways, these numerical encodings within our DNA and within the cosmos, start weeks before and go weeks after at a minimum. So this current energy is about expansion and strength and inviting your internal light to shine in your own reality and out into the world. There's Kathy. I knew it was coming. Hello, Kathy. Hello, David. My two shining stars over there. So this current energy is about expansion, strength, and inviting your internal light to shine into your reality and out into the world. And I just had a short conversation with Rachel because many of you follow Rachel's Facebook group called Rachel's Woo Woo. And she was messaging me about that today. She had some really cool ideas for collaboration. And I said to her, you'll understand because you're also 12th house Scorpio, just like me. But I think it's time to drop the woo woo from the group name because I don't want people looking at me like I'm woo woo, like I'm out there, right? Rachel doesn't. None of us want that. We want to spread the light and spread the joy and spread the expansion across this planet. So Rachel's woo woo or Tina's woo woo or Tina's crazy town or whatever we've been calling ourselves for a really long time. We don't want it to be that way. We want this expanded consciousness to be the mainstream and the mainstream of reality. So I told Rachel, yeah, consider doing something a little different. So this time right now is for all of us to consider doing something a little bit differently. And we've been talking about these changes for a really long time. But Rachel messaged me yesterday and she said, does it feel like to you that we're traversing the underworld? I love these conversations with you guys. So Venus is in retrograde, and literally in ancient times, when Venus would go in retrograde, you can no longer see it in the sky, right? It's completely below the horizon. And so the story in ancient myth goes that while Venus has taken a literal deep dive out of our sky, out of our view, um, she is taking literally Venus in retrograde, literally means Venus as a planet is diving into the underworld. That's the way the ancients looked at it. When Venus is not apparent, is not clear, is not seen in our sky, the ancients considered that Venus taking a dive into the underworld. So, as you know, our light, our radiance affects what happens to our planet and the planets in our universe, and also our planets in our universe, our section of the galaxy, also affects our deep dive, right? Because we're always mirroring these other planets and all this cosmic energy. So, and Venus retrograde in Leo season, Venus, I'm tongue tied. Excuse me. Let me start that down, start that over, and slow that down. Venus in retrograde, the time when she is not seen in our sky, the time when she is considered by the ancients to drop into the underworld, means that everything that she is associated with in our lives, as we mirror her energy and her light and her frequency and her deep dive, we will be diving into what the planet of Venus itself represents. So Venus represents as a whole the love of beautiful things, the love of self, the love of friends, the love of beautiful relationships. So Venus going into the underworld means she's taking a deep dive in all of those things, which means as a mirrored consciousness to her, our our soul within our body is taking a deep dive into what is beautiful in my life, what I want to create into my life, right? So you can kind of look at this like a resting place. As what is so interesting about Venus is I think it's like 9 months she appears in the evening sky, and then 9 months she appears in the morning sky, and the 3 month period in between, she spends her time in the underworld. And as we mirror that consciousness of Venus, it is us taking a dive into the underworld, specifically about relationships. So that's relationship to self, that's relationship to all things beautiful. What does our house look like? How are we taking care of ourselves? What kind of clothes do we like to wear? Venus is all about aesthetics, but it's also the aesthetic matching the heart space. So, in other words, I'm not going and buying a $30,000 car just because I think it's going to get me a date or something. I'm doing it because the way it fills me with joy in its beauty. Now, I don't feel that way about cars, but I certainly feel that way about a lot of other things. So, we are mirroring Venus and we are taking a dive into the underworld. And when we take that dive, we are looking in retrospect like Venus is going backwards. So for us, that is our heart space combined with our consciousness going backwards, saying what is beautiful in my life that is missing, what is beautiful in my life that I want to keep here in my life forever. So that's the basic gist of it. This time right now is also so Venus in retrograde during Leo season means that not only are we taking a deep dive into what's truly beautiful to us in our heart space, what's pleasing to us with our eyes, with our ears, with all of our six senses, what is pleasing to us, it's time of reevaluating what is pleasing to us. Okay, so this happening in the sign of Leo means that we are given incredible strength and courage, self confidence, and the confidence to project ourselves out into the world to seek after those things that fill the description of Venus as a planet herself. So Venus and our own consciousness and our own heart space are taking now a deep dive into the underworld so that we may reevaluate our relationships, okay? And that's our relationship with food, our relationship with how we take care of ourselves, our relationship with exercise, our relationships with our neighbors, our relationships with our intimate partners, our relationship to everything is going into a deep dive or into the underworld. Now, for Venus, going into the underworld means that we don't see her in the night sky or the morning sky like we normally do. For us, it means that we are the underworld. For us means that we're going into the subconscious to make these changes and make these decisions based on what feels beautiful to us. And it happening in Leo season means we are getting the courage, the strength, and the fervitude to do that which is pleasing to our conscious expansion and our heart space. This time is about harmony and about peace. So your deep dive will be looking at what is important with my relationship to myself, my relationship to the different aspects of my life, and my relationships with other people, surrounded around the theme of harmony and peace. So it's not Tina buying the $30,000 car because it looks cool and it's going to get her a date, right? It's about doing on the surface level what is aesthetically pleasing or eye candy, we could say. Um, but more than that, what right now is coming from the underworld or coming from our subconscious. And that is the people, places, things, the way we decorate our homes, the cars we drive, how our garden looks, how our yard looks. What is this aesthetically pleasing and filling the heart at the same time? The energy is really strong because on this alignment between the um, Orion's belt, Sirius, and the sun are showing us what is going on internally with us, while at the same time, these three things being aligned are magnetizing a huge amount of energy to the planet, to the core of the planet, which radiates back out. And it's also coming directly into our DNA or our core or our soul. And it is turning up the amplification of previously known and experienced gifts. For some people around you, it will be turning those gifts on for the first time. So be patient and kind and loving with people already. Now, this was interesting. We have a neighbor, and hopefully he will never be watching this channel. He's been my neighbor for, it'll be 3 years on 11/11. And he's been leaving the door unlocked all the time. And for a while, he was blaming it on apartment number 3, but apartment number 3 moved out, and the door was still being left open, right? So I don't have company. I rarely have company, but apartment number 4 has company fairly regularly, and both of my nieces just moved up into the apartment number 3, and temporarily their brother, my nephew, is also living there. So all 3 of the kids that I raised with my brother are currently living in my building. How fortuitous. What I noticed was it didn't have anything to do with actually the door being unlocked by someone who simply negated to lock the door, or someone who was just unaware that, you know, they weren't taking care of business. It wasn't that. What I noticed was when we had a bunch of company here, like let's say it's, I had a friend come up for Tennessee for a couple of days. The door kept getting unlocked. She was here with her dog. And then my nieces, 2 nieces and my nephew moved upstairs. Now the door's being unlocked again. Jess has recently, in apartment number 4, started having company again. And so I looked at Jess yesterday and I said, it's almost like the reason that Larry's leaving the door open is One, he's super lonely, and I think he's jealous that anytime anybody, who is getting hot already, anytime anybody in the building has company, he's leaving the door unlocked so he can blame it on the company. Now, this has been going on for a long time, but it didn't hit me until yesterday. Why is Larry, apartment number one, actually doing this? And I'm like, he's lonely, he's sad, he doesn't have company, and the more company we have in this building as a whole, the more he leaves the door locked. So there's, it finally hit me. That's the only conclusion I can come to. Oh, hello, Mary. And hello, James. Oh, Dawn, rock solid on with your bad self. How you doing? So I told apartment number four what I thought was going on with Larry, this whole spiel, right? And then I go to bed. And so apartment number one, Larry is having a conversation with Jesse in apartment number four last night after I go to bed. This whole thing about, this soulmate coming back from when they were both 8 years old. How appropriate on the 8-8 portal. Um, about being lonely and not having company, about going to this, like, she told me, basically, long story short, that everything that I had said to her the night before, he actually admitted, which I'm surprised about because he's multiple Scorpio placements as well, and normally is extremely talkative yet very secretive. So he blurted out his whole story to her last night, which is a story that I already told her, and she's like, I feel like he heard us. And I'm like, no, he didn't hear us. I heard him. I read him, told you, and then he admitted it. But it was an interesting sequence of events nonetheless. He was leaving the door open every time we had company because he was jealous that people were having company when he was not having company. The beautiful thing was, as he was telling Jess, he decided that he was going to do something about that. And he's already scheduled his trip to go down to Texas and reconnect with, I think, this woman that who he was really close to when they were kids, and go back for a family reunion. So this time is about harmony, and it's about purpose. If someone's showing up in your life that you met when you were 8 years old, it's for the reason of harmony and the reason of purpose. Now, you guys know, and I say in many of videos, I'm not an astrologer, but Venus retrograde always brings people back from the past. And so, I mean, I've had 5 emails from a past person that I had a relationship with for years. And I just ignored message after message after message. And he was like, hope you don't mind if I watch your videos, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I just want to be friends with you. Now, most of you guys know part of this story, but we broke up in a very peaceful, very amicable way in May 2 years ago. And then he hacked my account sometime around September. So 4 months after he left, he hacked my account and he messaged my lifelong friend of 31 years, another friend that I've been friends with for 8 years, and another person that I just met that I had a reading with, who I was talking to, who was also a friend, and he saw that connection immediately. A light bulb went off. So he hacked my account, and when he did, he messaged one person, the person he'd met in real life, my friend of 31 years, saying just a bunch of crap, right? And then with the other two people, he went into my Facebook account and messaged these people like he was me. So I wake up to a whole slew of really bothered people. And some people, I guess he took it out on more than others. Neither here nor there. I have not confronted that since he left here, right? So he left May 2 years ago. It happens in September, almost 2 years ago, that he hacked my account. So I've gotten 5 emails from him in the couple of days of Venus retrograde, and he was like, I hope you don't mind. I'm watching your videos. And I said, actually, I do mind you watching my videos because you are blocked from my Facebook account. You're blocked from my YouTube channel. You're blocked from my cell phone. And the only reason you're not blocked from my email is I'm not tech savvy enough to do it. I do mind you watching my channel, and you're blocked from it. And the only way you could be watching it is if you're using someone else's device in your house to watch it. we were friends, we probably would have been friends for life. This is the other part of Venus retrograde. If it doesn't feel good and it didn't feel good and you ended it, or it's been gone or dead or past its prime for a long time, this is when this energy solidifies and we make it concrete. That's the only reason I ever share my personal stories with you, is so that I can talk about the correlation of energetically what's going on and how we handle it as an adult, or how we should. I felt I was relatively nice considering that he hacked my account, and considering what he said to these people, because it was very, very extreme. I did tell him that he was blocked from all my social media platforms, and that if he was watching, he was doing it from someone else's device, and that we could have been friends for a really long time, and maybe even friends for life. But you threatened the three people in my life that I'm actually the closest to on the entire planet. Have I forgiven you? Yes, and I've forgiven myself as well for your part in my life, and whatever, however I can, was in contribution to that situation. I guess I never should have done my art layout on his laptop, so that's how he got into my Facebook account. Neither here nor there. The point is, I dip into the underworld, right, after 5 emails from this guy, and I say, listen, I do mind. We could have been friends for life, but you did something that I've forgiven you for, I've forgiven myself for, but I will never allow myself in my frequency to be involved with someone that could do that, no matter what your state of mind is. I don't care, whatever your state of mind, whatever you're going through, that's fine. But we don't hack people's accounts and start threatening them. So the answer is no. I've forgiven you. I've walked away from it. It's the past. Now let it be the past. And I clicked on a couple buttons, and guess what? I want to say I'm a genius, but we all know that's not true. I figured out how to block him. So, Venus retrograde, you take a dive into the underworld, and you decide what you no longer want to look at, what you no longer want to feel. And then being in Leo season gives us the confidence to execute what is possibly dead or gone or unhappy or not beautiful to you in your life. And we get the confidence to execute this and make it happen in physical reality, so we can open a new chapter, because this time is about harmony and it's about purpose. Now, one of the biggest reasons I quit my day job was purpose. And I don't like to live by the seat of my pants, but any of you that know what's gone on in my life for the last 3 years, with work, with money, with any kind of financial anything, you would say Tina really loves to live by the absolute freaking seat of her pants. I don't, but I know when something's out of alignment. And so sometimes gifts come through in really crazy ways, right? So if spirit is saying to you, like, okay, you're a great landscaper. While we do appreciate your light and your energy going to the plant kingdom, is that what you're supposed to be doing for the rest of your life? Now, I could say, yes, spirit, yes, higher self. I do recognize that, right? But then the 3D brain is talking to me, well, Tina, you got to pay rent, you got to pay for your car payment, and you got to eat those luxury meals that you like cooking for yourself, right? So it's a go back and forth. Now, what happens when you're in that go back and forth energy is the universe will send you something to fix it for you, okay? Or not to fix it, but kind of maybe shove you off the cliff, so to speak, right? This has never happened to me in my entire life. I have worked with people that have liked me. I've worked with people that have asked me out. I've worked with people that I've even dated. And I will say I actually met more people that I dated at work than anywhere else. But I have never had a situation where I worked with someone that fell in love with me to an obsessive point that made me quit my job. Now, that's one side of the polarity. But do I blame this person for walking away from my livelihood, right? Do I blame this person in physical reality? Because I already asked what I should be doing. I already kind of knew what I should be doing, right? But I was having a hard time of letting go of my livelihood, right? So I knew it was supposed to happen, right? So Danny was Spirit's way of pushing me over the edge or catalyzing me into what I'm supposed to be doing. So we never should get, we need firm boundaries, there's no doubt about it, but we can't get mad when something happens in our external reality when we already knew we were being led in that direction anyway. Okay. So this time is about what you're already experiencing. So you're in your personal life, what are you going through? Changes in maybe partnership, changes in jobs, changes in physical location, changes in what you subject yourself to. You know, do you listen to heavy death metal anymore? Or have you switched over to, binaural beats or something? Are you, eating junk food? Are you eating a clean diet most of the time? So it's all about our switch and it's all about our change, but it's all about our switch and our change for that which is aligned with our harmony, in harmony with ourselves and our purpose here on planet Earth. So this time is going to be felt according to how you live. Okay. So when the energy gets real strong, let me back up for a second. You could have the cleanest diet. You could exercise for 2 hours a day, because I do almost every day, and have a super clean diet and all this crap. Doesn't mean, because I saw this the other day on somebody's post, and this guy was like, well, you're experiencing the stuff when we have excess solar flares because you don't exercise and you don't have a clean diet, and you're not consciously aware of your surroundings. Bullshit, people. This energy is strong, and the Lion's Gate on 8/8, and again the second major alignment that happens with Sirius on December 21st are the major influxes of incredible light. So no matter how awesome you're taking care of yourself in physical reality, you're still going to be tired. You're still going to feel dizzy. You're still going to feel like you want to cut people out of your life that aren't cool anymore. There's a bunch of things that are going to be coming up for you, no matter how good your diet or your exercise routine is. So we don't need to be giving each other that. It's hot, my hair is sticking to me. We don't need to be giving each other that kind of feedback. Oh, well, I suppose you're having occasional candy bar, so you're having a hard time when it's an X-class solar flare. Not reality. They've recently published, who knows when they discovered it. I never say recently discovered because they've known things for so long, right? But they recently published the fact that solar flares have a direct connection to the brain, and that memory, so important, your memory is 100% magnetic. So when there's an X-class solar flare, and even perhaps M-class flares, when that initially comes in, and it will be different lengths of time for different people depending on your physiology. Did I really just use that word? So yes, depending on your body, it'll last a different amount of time. So when you're walking from one room to the next and you're like, oh shit, what the heck am I doing? It's not because you had a candy bar a month ago. It's not because you took one day off from working out, or that you're listening to death metal. These extreme fluctuations of energy go straight to the heart center and then up to the brain. Okay. So M-class flares, all of them they all do it. Okay. So like lower C-class flares, for example, you're still going to be like, did I eat breakfast today? Wait a minute. Did I? What did I have for breakfast? So you're like trying to figure out the scenario of your day. M-class flares, right? You're like, I think I had breakfast. I don't know what I could have possibly had for breakfast. There's no dirty dishes. X-class flare, I don't know, because you're going to be more like, what day is it? Was there something I was supposed to do today? Did I walk into the kitchen for a reason? Walking into the kitchen exhausted me. Now I have to go lay down. That's what an X-class solar flare does. Some people rejuvenate, regenerate their energy in 15 minutes. Some people it takes 3 or 4 hours. I will tell you, even with the exercise, the diet, and all that, for the last 3 days straight, I have laid down and gone to sleep on my back, which I don't sleep on, instantly, and slept for 2 hours the last several days. So the stronger the flare, the more reaction from the memory. Memory is 100% magnetic, meaning when we have a strong enough flare, your memory will flicker. Did I eat breakfast? Those kinds of things. The stronger it gets, it may erase your memory for 20 minutes. It could erase your memory for 2 hours, but you might notice, depending on your physiology as well, and also your consciousness level, if you're okay with that. But if you lose track of time, if you forget what day it is, if you forget what the heck you're doing for 2 hours and you're cool with that, that 2 hours is going to be the most fun of your life. If you're resistant to it, not so much. So this time now is going to be felt exactly the way we live. And I mean, what we're subjecting ourselves to: food, relationships, social media, all of it. Okay. So this time now is felt according to how we live. Are you restless? Are you tired? Are you exhausted? Do you see war in your family? Do you see war within your relationships? Do you see war as a planetary whole? And if you see war as a planetary whole, you would be watching things on television. Because if you close your eyes, right, and more of us get into high frequency, war can't survive a high frequency. So are you restless? Are you tired? Are you exhausted? Are you seeing war in your family and war in your relationships and war in the external world? What you see external is decided by how we deal with our own landscape. What you see external is mirrored back by how you deal with your internal landscape. And now you notice that I'm not saying what your internal landscape is, because there are always crazy people at the grocery store or the gas station. There's always people honking at me, the apartment building, driving down the road. Cue the car, right on cue. There's always war on the television. There's always sadness and war on television. If you turn that on, you can connect to that. But you could have those, difficulties with neighbors, difficulties with people in the gas station, difficulties with people in your personal life, in your relationships, on your social media. But how you deal with it, because we all have the landscape. So the next thing I'll ask you, are you expressing yourself? Are you able to share your emotions? This is how I feel when you say that shit to me. This is how I took it when you hacked my account. It's easier, I know, certainly for me, to just be like, okay, I'm going to let it go and just forgive it and whatever. And many, many people in reality, in their personal world, in their own household, are living in situations that are not copacetic, right? We're in jobs, we're in all kinds of things that don't work for us. That's part of our makeup. That's part of our internal landscape. Therefore, if I'm allowing a war to go on, have you ever seen War of the Roses? Who was in that? The most sarcastic actor of all time. What the heck was that guy? Dennis something. Dennis Quaid, maybe? War of the Roses. Watch that and see if it resonates with you. If we're allowing war in our own apartment building, if we're allowing a war to go on in our parking lot, if we're allowing a war to go on at our dinner table with our parents, with our family members, or we're allowing a war to go on, or an uncomfortability or an unmatched frequency and relationship in the house, then we're going to see more people honking at us on the street. We're going to see more stories of war. How you deal with, and again, no matter how great you take care of yourself, we all have these challenges coming up, because this challenge is about what brings harmony and purpose into my life. So we'll be at war with those things internally, which will then invite us into the frequency of experiencing external war, or fighting, things like that. Are we expressing ourselves? Are we able to show our emotions? Are we letting our feelings out to people? The intelligence of the subconscious will take care of everything if you let it. The intelligence of the subconscious will take care of it. The subconscious is the body's supercomputer. Our subconscious, remember, Venus is diving into the underworld, diving into the subconscious. Our bodies are mirroring Venus, diving into the subconscious. Our body, mind, spirit, soul connection, connection to higher self, is diving into the underworld, which is the subconscious. The subconscious is the supercomputer. So the supercomputer of the subconscious is going to bring these things up, is going to allow, invite all of this to come up from the subconscious and be created in your reality. So what that means for you, first of all, is take a little quiet time, right? And delve into the things I said earlier, what's pleasing, what feels awesome to the soul, what brings you joy, what brings you laughter, all of that, okay? And allow the supercomputer, the subconscious, to do its job. The subconscious, like, it'll rise, these things rise to the surface from the subconscious, like, oh, I probably shouldn't do this job anymore. Oh, I probably shouldn't live in this area anymore. Whatever it is, the the subconscious is the body's supercomputer, and it will bring to fruition what comes up if you allow and invite that. But there's a certain way to allow and invite that. Now, this is the hardest step for all of us, right? Okay, so say you want something. So then you focus on what you want, not the details of what you want. Focus on what you want, not the details, okay? So a real simple example would be if you always wanted to have a dog and live on the water, that you put those kind of pictures up or have that on your computer saver. Or when you go into meditation, close your eyes and see yourself sitting by whatever location you want with whatever kind of dog you want, okay? We're good at this part. Here's the part where we run into a snag, with the reptilian part of the brain. Then we focus on how would that happen? What would the steps to be to that happening? How would I manifest something in 2 days that takes 6 months, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? The mind goes crazy, especially when you lay down to go to sleep, right? There's your honk for confirmation. Knew it was coming. So anyway, we focus on what we want, okay? Beach and the dog, and we just see that. So we disallow the brain to step in and say how, why, not logical, all the BS, right? So what all of us, we as a whole, we as a humanity, fail a lot of times to realize is that when we ask for something, it's going to show up because the subconscious is bringing it up for you so that you can create it, because the subconscious is the supercomputer, which means the subconscious can create a whole new holographic reality. We know this already, okay? So we see that image, and then we have to stop there instead of how, why, when. This would take so many years to save, or whatever it is. Or I live in a place that doesn't allow dogs, or whatever. Don't stop yourself from just diving into the underworld of what that looks like. How do I feel to live on the beach with my dog? What does that look like? What does a person sitting next to me look like? What drink is in my hand? What's my view right now? Okay. And then stop all the external stuff that happens. Because what we as a humanity don't seem to realize most of the time is that when we ask for something, it'll always show up, but we will almost always not recognize what we ordered when it shows up. Okay? Your subconscious, your supercomputer, is always bringing to fruition that which you can hold in your mind, these beautiful pictures of whatever it is you're creating. Our only issue in stopping that from happening or even slowing that down is our thought process. So, for an example, I could say, okay, I don't want to landscape anymore. But how do I transition from landscaping to whatever this other thing is, right? How do I do that? So then I sit there and think about it, right? But here's the thing, when you ask for something, you don't know what kind of package it's going to come in. This is not Amazon, okay? When you're ordering vitamins from Amazon, like I did, that came today, you know what you're getting. You know what the package is going to look like. You know what the van looks like that's going to deliver it. When you ask your supercomputer to deliver something into your life, you don't know what the package is going to look like when it gets here. So, the biggest thing we have a hard time with is we ask for something and we have to know that it's going to show up. But when it shows up, we will not recognize it as exactly what we ordered. For example, let's say you're trying to manifest a new job. Let's say you want a job in network broadcasting, okay? And you have a great picture of that in your head, the network broadcasting, right? If you are an absolute super manifester, there is a slight possibility that someone could pop up into your reality and say, "You're the perfect person to be on my show. Let's do that." Okay. But where the most of the majority or the biggest part of humanity, even on the first wave of awareness is right now, is that shows up different than what we ordered. So I put out into the universe. I want to be on broadcast television. I want to be on the nighttime news. Okay, let's say that. I want to be on Channel 12 Cincinnati. Okay. How that shows up is not Channel 12 calling me. How that shows up is you get fired from your job and have to go on unemployment. The business closes altogether and you get a severance package. There's there's a business, a multitude of businesses that merge together to make one company, and they lay off your entire department. You see, just like Danny interfering or trying to interfere in my personal life was just the catalyst to get me 100% driving my chariot in the right direction, so are these other things. So if you're like, I want to be a broadcaster on Channel 12, and all of a sudden you get fired from your job, and then you drop into this, oh well crap, what am I going to do? I was going to work on my resume, and I was going to network, and I was going to find out how to get into Channel 12, and I was going to do all these things, but I didn't have a chance to because I got let go. Well, that's the universe, your own supercomputer, your subconscious giving you what you asked for. Now, our biggest drawback in the reptilian brain is I get fired from my job or something pushes me to quit my job or whatever. So then I think, well, I have to panic because I wasn't prepared. I didn't have anything to slide from where I am now into this new thing. But the thing is, and this is why I've been telling you guys for the last couple months, if you approach your life with the frequency that everything is always working out for me, no matter what happens, you say, wow, I have a flat tire. Everything's always working out for me. I mean, literally, no matter what it is, because the thing is that almost never will my job on Channel 12 News, come to me because someone from Channel 12 News and says, hey, I saw your YouTube video. You're the perfect candidate for our channel, right? Not saying that's impossible. Not saying that at all. What I'm saying is most of the time it happens in steps to get you to shift into a different direction. Okay. So you got fired and you get unemployment. So that spirit, the universe, God, source, all of it combined saying to you, okay, Tina, you got fired. Here's your unemployment. Now you can sit here without that job, still get paid while you finish thinking about how you're going to create your reality. Almost never do we get something exactly as we ask for it initially. We don't know what package it's going to, there's a honk again. We don't know what the package is going to be that delivers this thing, right? So what happens then is if you say, oh, I really wanted to work at Channel 12 and now I'm fired from my job and I didn't work on my resume and I'm not ready for this and blah, 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 you're going against the universe and your own supercomputer giving you what you've been programming it or telling it to give you. So if you're in that scenario and you want that job at Channel 12 News and you all of a sudden get fired from your job or your business closes or there's a merger and your whole apartment is eliminated, that is the answer to your prayer, the answer to your meditation, one step closer to the job at Channel 12. And as long as we are looking at, oh, this was a gift because I know everything is always working out for me. So this thing must be meant to be. I'm all choked up. Yeah. So when you've ordered a change or a shift in your reality, and such a shift comes, but it doesn't look like the slide that you presented to yourself, right, in your mind, it's still one step closer to what you wanted. Sometimes it's 3 steps closer, or 10 steps closer. Now I'm crying. Yes. So that was weird. I don't know what just happened to my camera. Oh, well, I'm not touching it anymore. We don't realize when we ask for something, when the subconscious, some supercomputer is charging us up, ramping us up to go in another direction to make these changes, and something happens, right? So we have to look at every single thing that's positive. And trust me, I understand completely that that's not easy. I'm going to give you another scenario because to me, this is so freaking incredibly important. Let's say you've been married for 25 years. In the last 8 years of that marriage, you wanted to file for a divorce, or you wanted to tell that person you wanted a divorce. Okay. Let this hit home for us in a couple of different ways. Monumentally important for our growth right now. Okay. You're married 20 years, however long I just said. Can't even imagine that. And the last 8 years, it hasn't been working. Okay. The camera wants to be there. I'm not going to push the universe. It's staying there. So you've been unhappy in a marriage or a situation for the last 8 years, but you don't want to do anything about it, or you're afraid to do anything about it, or you don't know how you can survive as a woman on your own without the other person's income, whatever, fill in the blank. There's a million scenarios. So the relationship has not been working out. You know this, and you've known this for a long time. So when you find, I know this is a horrible example, but I want to tell you how incredibly important gratitude plays a part in this. You've been married forever, you've been unhappy for 8 years, and all of a sudden you find out your partner's cheating on you, and then you get really mad, and then you go on to this anger and this rage. Why? It's what you ordered from the supercomputer of you and from the universe, from God, from source itself. Okay. No, it doesn't feel good to have people cheat on you or do mean things or backstab you or get, maybe even get pregnant. Maybe your wife even got pregnant by some other person. Okay. But if you have been sitting there for 8 years going, let me find a peaceful way to resolve this, to end this marriage, and all of a sudden someone's cheating on you or pregnant by someone else, or these are crazy scenarios, but I'm getting you to the point where you look at that and say, yep, my wife cheated on me. Oh, wait, I've been unhappy for 8 years. This is exactly really what I wanted. Okay. So stop judging how the gift or the answer or the expansion shows up in your life. Right. Now, things don't always happen in this kind of an extreme manner, right? But if you're the person in the unhappy job or the person that wanted to work for Channel 12, for 2 decades, and you've been not working towards that for 2 decades, yes, you will probably have a swift kick in the butt when it comes to this. Same thing. You've been unhappy in your marriage for a year. What comes to you, the package, the way this gift comes to you, if you've been unhappy in your marriage for a year, is going to be totally different than the way the package shows up to you. If you've been unhappily married for 8 years, that could be extreme. Like I said, suddenly your wife is pregnant by someone else, or you come home and there's someone else in your house, or whatever. And I'm only saying those extreme scenarios so you get the point. Now, if you're happily married and you find that out, I'm not saying this. I'm saying your wish, even if you didn't say to that other person, you know what, here's the document. I want a divorce. I'm out of here. But you've been putting it out there for 8 years, right? Your supercomputer and your subconscious has been saying to you, this isn't working. This isn't working. This isn't working. How many more years are we going to do this? This isn't working. And then that's what will happen. And we'll almost, so the bottom line is, if you don't stand up for yourself, right? If you don't look out for your best interest and surround people that look out for your best interest, and that could be in a place you don't want to live, or that could be a warful or warlike household with someone that you wanted to leave for 8 years. It could be a job that you wanted for 20 years and haven't gone after. My point is, the longer you sit in the energy of not taking care of that which is the desire in the heart to change, to rearrange, to reset, those extreme things will happen to you. You will find your wife cheating or find your wife pregnant by somebody else. Okay. Because unless you're at the point of manifestation where these masters that walk the planet have been before, we're not manifesting at the rate where you're like, well, I've been unhappy for 8 years, and your partner comes home from work one day and says, here's the divorce papers. Now we can just, both be happy, right? Not saying that doesn't happen. I'm saying most likely the scenario will be whatever it is that you can't forgive in that situation, whether it's work or your household, personal relationships, whatever you can't deal with, whatever catalyzes you to get out of something and then change and into a new direction, will be the thing that person does, right? Let's say you've wanted a divorce for 8 years, but for whatever reason, it hasn't happened. The scenarios I already mentioned, of course, could happen. But again, it is going to show up in a way where it's a gift. Now think about this. Divorces can be long and drawn out and painful situations, right? But, and I'm just giving you an example here of looking at the bright side. You wanted out of this for 8 years. You've been praying and meditating on how to just easily slide out of this situation without being confrontational and without putting your best interests at heart. So then what happens is a scenario that pushes you to that. So whatever it is in the relationship, it also gives you an out. For example, it could be a long drawn out thing. But if you're like, oh, hey, well, you're pregnant by someone else or you're cheating with someone else, that's ground for divorce. End of story. Not saying there won't be an argument, but what can you really do? I'm saying we have to look at everything, even the painful things and the negative things, as blessings. And when these things happen, when we energetically want something, we want change, or we want something to end, and something ends, but it blows up in a different way than we expect, we still need to have gratitude, because that is the assistance of the manifestation coming into you. Now it's so easy to say, you know what? You're having a child with someone else. There should be nothing to contest here, right? Looking at the bright side, no matter how negative, no matter how painful, how hurtful, whatever, we have to be able to, especially right now, look at things and say, everything is always working out for me. We get hung up on a preconceived idea of what an opportunity will look like. Okay. You can talk to or read about many people that had terminal illness, and the people didn't, they disassociated from that illness itself. They didn't claim the label, they didn't claim the illness. They did everything they could to change. But what you will find from people who were like, I could see where I had problems in my life. I could see where I could have physical problems or energetic problems or, you know, connection to belief that caused problems in my life, right? So you can read so many stories about so many people that got sick. And once they got sick, they're like, you know what? I really don't like my husband. I think I'll get divorced. I never liked this career. I'm going to ditch that. You know what? I never, ever liked going to the gym. I hated it. I'm going to move to the ocean and swim instead of going to the gym. Guess what happens? The person miraculously recovers because it's all the things that we hold in our life, in our thoughts, and even in the cells of our body that are creating that thing to begin with. So, you know, we ditch the husband, right? The unhappy situation, we ditch the unhappy job, we move out of the unhappy geographical location, we leave the unhappy gym, and it's all about, you know, whatever. It's about what makes you tick. This Venus retrograde dive into the underworld is the dive into your supercomputer, your subconscious. What do I want to change, right? But what you will find from reading those stories is the people that decided, you know what, there's 5 things that are super important to me that I'm not doing. I'm going to start doing those things. Who knows how much time I have? There's 5 things over here that I'm doing that I hate to do, but I'm doing out of obligation or whatever it is. I'm not doing that shit anymore. I'm doing this shit now. And those people, you can read hundreds of stories of those people who simply shifted their life out of what they were doing that they didn't love and into what they loved in all capacities, that literally healed themselves by making that energetic shift. Okay. So our hang up on preconceived ideas about how a miracle comes into our life, right? Because so many people will say, well, I'm sick. That's really horrible. I have to do all these things to make myself better and whatever, right? Whatever story you're telling yourself. But then there are people that got sick that were like, wow, what's out of alignment? Why did I get sick? Let me look at why I got sick to begin with. Let me get rid of everything that I've been doing that held a stagnant, unhealthy energy in my field and kick those things to the curb, and they healed themselves. So we don't know when we ask, we pray, we meditate, we work with our subconscious, right? We work with our higher self, and that is connected to the subconscious and the superconscious, which is connected to our own computer right now. It's time for an update. It's time for an upgrade. Okay, this is a reset. Kathy, Rachel, and I reset ourselves on the exact same day at close to the exact same time. Today, technically, actually, is the start of the reset for most people's energetic fields. Some people reset 2 months from now. Some people will have reset yesterday, some tomorrow, some next week. But when we ask for something, when we pray for something, when we work with higher self, when we work with each other, we have to realize that when we are seeking something, not only is that thing also seeking us, but our supercomputer is bringing it in. Okay. So you order a dozen red roses. You expect when your flower delivery gets here that you're going to get a dozen red roses. If you order a brand new, happy, fulfilling partnership to show up in your life, you don't know how it's going to come. It's not 12 roses in a vase, right? It could be the mailman. It could be the guy from Amazon delivering your vitamins. You don't know how it's going to come. So we got to loosen the perimeters around the package. I want a divorce, therefore I'm just expecting my partner, because I've been meditating for 8 years, to just show up and say, listen, I know you don't want to, I know you don't really want to be here and you're not really here. It doesn't feel like you're really here to me. So here's the divorce papers. It's very rarely how someone shows up, or honey for your coffee. You're killing me, Rachel. I'm dying over here. Oh, wait, cancel, clear, delete. Yes, thank you for that reminder. So, here's a perfect example of my silliness and how I play along with my silliness. So, thank you for bringing that up. I'm laying in bed and I won't use anything in my coffee except for honey because the taste of stevia to me is just absolutely appalling. It's absolutely gagging. But I'm laying in bed and my eyes weren't even open yet. And then I was like, oh crap, I didn't go to the store and get honey for my coffee. Well, to me, that's kind of serious. I take that first cup of coffee very seriously. But I was giggling like I was really happy about forgetting honey, right? And me, I won't leave that. I do not leave the house without a cup of coffee. I won't go outside in the morning to stretch without my cup of coffee. Okay. Don't judge me. So I wake up, I'm like giggling that I forgot the honey. And then I saw someone's face next to me in the bed. And he said to me, it's okay. I'll just go to the store and get you honey. And I thought, what? No one's ever like been like that towards me. Now here was the weird part, and this is pertains to our subconscious too. In every relationship I've ever had, I've been the teacher, and I don't mean like the conscious expansion teacher or the ascension teacher or whatever, okay? Because I was not in that space most of my dating life. I was not. I was internalizing all of that. I wasn't sharing, teaching, expressing anything in an outward way. But I mean, a teacher in the relationship. How do you cook, right? For one guy I dated, how to make Christmas cookies without Crisco, okay? How to do laundry, whatever. How to fix a toilet. Every relationship, I've been the teacher. So here I am giggling. I don't have the honey. I see this man's face, and he says, don't worry, I'll go get the honey. And the first thought in my mind was, since I've always been the teacher in every relationship, he does he is not from here, okay? So he would have no idea where to go to get honey. So I dropped into this thing and I'm like, oh wait, now I'm gonna have to like look it up and give him the address or give him instructions and tell him how to get to the store to get honey. Like someone's not gonna just offer to get the honey and then just do it completely without me having to be involved in this in any way, shape, or form. I'm giggling. He says, it's fine. I'll go get the honey. And I looked at him and I just waited. I was waiting for him to say, where is the store? How do I get there? What's the name of the store? And he kissed me on the forehead, looked at his phone, and got in the car and left, right? Finally, somebody who can figure it out without having to be prompted every step of the way. So, very interesting. And thank you for throwing throwing that out there, Rachel. Have I been talking for 3 hours yet? I cannot make a video under an hour and 3 minutes and 33 seconds. 333. There's your manifestation. So yes, preconceived ideas. When you order something, some person, someplace, something, hold that beautiful picture in your head of that jar of honey or that person's golden skin or that new car or that hut on the beach, whatever it is for you, and don't question how the package shows up for you. It's so hard for us to not realize that when we ask for something, it's rarely going to show up in the exact package that we expect it to. And so this time is about harmony and purpose. This time is felt according to how we live. However, I'm leaving. Am I leaving? I'm going somewhere. I know that. Not right now, though. However, we are dealing with, perceiving, and intimating from our own personal landscape is exactly how reality is shown back to us. Harmony and peace. Venus is diving into the underworld, the subconscious, and so shall we in our mirror of planetary body and our following. Allow yourself some time and space, an hour, 3 days, 3 weeks, whatever it is, until you can get in alignment and say, this is what's beautiful to me. This is what is important to me. This is what love is to me, this person, place, or thing. this Venus is about love. This is about you going backwards into what have I done that's not in alignment with love? Where have I been before that was in alignment with love? Okay. Go back, be retrospective in this time. Take a deep dive there into the subconscious and reevaluate your relationship to self, your relationship to your relationships, and your relationship to your internal landscape and how you take care of yourself. And know that every single thing you want is coming to you, but it probably won't come in the exact package that you expect it to. Okay? Stay in peace, stay in harmony. This is an incredibly important, amped up, magnified, updated reset of our dreams, desires, right? Incredible. That's why I'm making this video right now. It's not only the things that are going on astrologically right now and going on internally within our own landscape, it's also how we are dealing with it and how we look at things that show up in our reality when we have asked for something. Pay very close attention to how things are coming up in your reality. If you're restless, if you're tired, if you are exhausted, okay, it's reevaluation time for everyone. It is burning up in here. Much love. Bye.